Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. I know this is a bit of a different format, and it's something that I want to try and just in one shot give you some random thoughts as to what's going on in the world, what's going on in crypto, what's going on in the economy, all of the above in a set period of time. I would love to do this on a regular basis. And so here's what really I'm thinking about right now. We have two different things at play, and it's driving me crazy because crypto, Bitcoin, let's just focus on Bitcoin real quick. There are so many factors that I would say I would look at Bitcoin. I would say this is incredibly bullish. We are seeing the institutionalization of Bitcoin right now. And it's one of those things, this is just the next step in line. We had the nerds, we had the libertarians get involved in Bitcoin first, and then we kind of had the general public and then the retail public, and now we're at the point of institutions with the spot Bitcoin ETFs, with so many other things, spot Ethereum ETFs, where now this is available. It is available for institutions to invest in like never before. And then we're inching towards kind of the final evolution of Bitcoin adoption. We're still incredibly early on, but the final evolution is nation states. And we just had the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Tennessee, where Donald Trump got on stage and said he wanted to establish a Bitcoin reserve currency in the United States. We're seeing in Russia, they are legalizing Bitcoin mining within a couple months here. We've seen El Salvador, obviously. That was a part of the last bull run. The smaller nation states getting really excited about this. And then we've seen some larger ones. They're loosening up in China with Bitcoin adoption. And I think the final evolution of this is going to be this massive arms race for Bitcoin. And the one who wins that arms race is going to position themselves the best out of all of them. And right now it is completely up in the air. Yeah, El Salvador has gotten a bit of a head start, but they're still small potatoes in terms of adoption. The United States, I mean, really a lot of these countries could just decide to print their fiat into oblivion. And I don't, and then just buy Bitcoin with it. I don't think that's gonna happen. That would be, is that a smart move or a dumb move? I mean, I don't know. I'd be tempted, if I had absolute sovereign control over a nation, maybe that would be the call, is just to print my fiat into oblivion and buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin with it. That would either be the smartest move of all time or the dumbest move, whatever. Okay. There are so many things that on a long enough timeline have me excited about Bitcoin. But why was Bitcoin created? When was Bitcoin created? Remember, January 3rd, 2009, in the wake of the great financial crisis, we see this phoenix emerge, this phoenix rising from the ashes of that insanity, and it was Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was created. I mean, there's people who openly wonder whether Satoshi Nakamoto is a time traveler or something like that. I mean, whatever, all the jokes all on that. But the timing of Bitcoin being created is fascinating to me, because there couldn't have been better timing. There really couldn't have been better timing with that. I mean, we saw Federal Reserve 1913, 1971 depegged the US dollar from gold, and we have this 53-year experiment with fiat currency. But then 2008, the introduction of quantitative easing and the lowering rate of rates to zero for the first time ever, and Bitcoin is created in that environment. And so we have this clash going on here where we have this thing that is incredibly bullish long term because it has a fixed supply, and it is it's the direct opposite of the US dollar. But the reason why it was created, the reason why it's existing and thriving right now, is because the economy, the global economy, is just teetering. I mean, it's insane. How long can we keep this dog and pony show going? And the reason why I'm bringing that up now is because personally, I'm going to remember the events of this week for quite a while. What happened? Japan. Japan raised interest rates. If you look at the history of Japan's interest rates for more than a decade, Japan's interest rates have been at zero, and there's even been times when it's been negative. I think that's a picture of what the future of the United States is going to look like. That actually gets me a little bit excited, side point, for the fact that maybe we're not going to have this epic collapse within the next 5 years, but maybe instead within the next 20 to 30 years, stock up as much as possible like an ant in the winter. But Japan, okay, I didn't realize that. I'll be honest with you. Japan is now very much on my radar. It's never going to leave my radar, but Japan, for the first time in over a decade, raised interest rates by 25 basis points, and all hell broke loose. This is, like I'm saying, just this thin line that we have to walk in the global economy is so delicate that Japan raising rates by 25 basis points would cause all of this panic, and then they have to back up just a few days later and say, okay, you know what? We're never going to raise rates again. I mean, maybe they'll raise rates again, but as far as now is concerned, we're done. And it's just that little blip on the chart, 25 basis points, and we have all of this insanity. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I am so unbelievably bullish on Bitcoin, but short term, can it thrive in an economy, in an environment where there's going to be lots of times when people are going to decide to go risk off? And then when does Bitcoin become risk off? Right now, Bitcoin is a risk on investment. When does it become risk off? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question, but we're not there yet. And so we're hearing a lot of people talking about the 4-year halving cycle and how it has to happen. We're going to reach well over six-figure Bitcoin in 2025. I've seen $200,000 predictions. I've seen $600,000 predictions. That would be wonderful. But in my opinion, Bitcoin is not yet quite a risk-off asset. And everything that I'm looking at points to a picture of 2025 being a year of decline, not a year of increase. We're almost there, but we're not quite there yet. I believe that Bitcoin will be lower at the end of 2025 than where it is now. Right now, it's about $60,000. I believe that Bitcoin will be lower at the end of 2025 than where it is now. If you were to force me to choose a number, I'd say something like $30,000, $35,000, something like that. But then, what happens? Rates have finally bottomed out. You've heard me talk about this on my live streams plenty of times. If you're new to this channel, I'm just going to repeat it. Rates bottom out, quantitative easing again. The Fed adds to their balance sheet, does not decrease from their balance sheet. And then that's the same environment. Maybe even if it's a hard landing, there's stimulus. And it's at that time that the environment, I think, is going to be perfect for Bitcoin to go well beyond my price targets. I have a $155,000 price target. It says for 2024, 2025, I have extended that to 2026. Really, a $155,000 price target for this cycle, whatever we call this cycle. But even at that time, let's say Bitcoin's at $30,000 to $35,000 and rates are at or near zero, quantitative easing, maybe some stimulus, $155,000 would be too conservative in my opinion. That would be the environment for Bitcoin to do amazing things. And then what about alts? I would expect alts to at least do some significant retraces. But here's a thought. This is a new thought. I shared this in my live stream earlier today. We're so used to 4-year halving cycle theory